Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hey everybody, I'm Kevin.
And I'm John.
And this is 6 Degrees of Schwarzenegger, the podcast where we take a long, hard look back at some of our favorite action movies from the era of Arnold.
Schwarzenegger is the icon of the genre, and we're taking a deep dive into some of these 80s and 90s cult action movies and breaking them all the way down.
We're going to get into the nitty-gritty and examine the good, the bad, the ugly, and the laughable in these movies.
But we're always coming from a place of love, you guys. You don't watch these movies as much as we have unless you have a genuine affection for them.
Brother to brother, brother to brother, one to another, like no other. Brother to brother, brother to brother. Never knew you existed, never saw.
Hey, John.
Hello, my friend.
How are you doing over there?
Sweet friend. I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I am bundled up. I'm layered up and keeping warm in this brutal, cold winter.
Yeah, we hope that everyone is doing the same. That everyone's got a space heater or a electric blanket, or maybe you've got power and water, unlike our friends in Texas and other places right now.
We will blame Punxsutawney Phil for his prediction of extended winter.
I know.
Asshole. So we're back with a brand new series on a brand new flick.
That's right.
We're going back to the well of Arnold.
It's the best place to go. You can always count on it to give you the goods.
Everything that he did, like up until maybe Batman and Robin, was really, they weren't all good, but
Right.
they were all interesting in their way.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. Arnold would carry movies on his own and make it worth seeing.
So we're going to take on one of his more interesting career choices, 1988's Twins.
Love it.
I love it. It's not really an action movie, I guess, per se,
No,
at all.
It's definitely got some feats of strength.
Yeah, there's some
Several.
gunplay.
Yeah, and there are fights aplenty, but it's not an
Arnold,
action movie.
though. It's Arnold, so that's the loophole for sure. It's Arnold.
This movie has the distinction of being more of a comedic turn for Arnold.
His first comedic turn.
What?
Truly comedic, I
Yeah,
suppose.
Exactly.
I should say I love this movie.
It's awesome.
I was telling you the other day, out of all the movies that I've ever seen in my life, like this one movie is probably in the top 20 of movies that I've seen the most times.
Yeah, I don't think I can say that, but I've seen it a lot.
This was one of the movies that we had on VHS around the house, like this, E.T., Back to the Future, Top Gun. We had a few that I would just Karate Kid.
Was it a legit store-bought VHS, or was this one that you bootlegged off HBO?
I think it was bootlegged off HBO.
Yeah, I feel like that's our copy likely was as well.
Yeah, but I would watch it probably weekly. So I might have seen this movie.
Oh, wow.
I might have seen this movie 200 times in my life.
That's astounding.
I was saying, like, as I was watching it, I was almost like I would get ahead of the plot. I'd be like, okay, then this scene's going to happen, then this scene, then this scene, and this line, and yeah, it's like sort of emblazoned onto my brain.
Yeah, it's definitely great. All the performances in it are great.
Yeah, directed by Ivan Reitman, comedy royalty.
Yes.
He had done Ghostbusters 1 and 2. He had done Stripes, Meatballs. Then after this, he went on and did Kindergarten Cop and Junior, also with Arnold.
He loved Arnold. After Arnold proved himself.
For real. They got each other paid, I think.
Yeah.
Written by William Davies and William Osborne.
Yeah.
And Timothy Harris and Herschel Weingrod.
You can get everybody in the room together.
Usually,
Figure it out.
we mentioned this on The Rock. Like, usually when you have that many names down as writers, that's a sign that something's gone terribly wrong.
Right.
But I feel like this one, it works pretty well.
Yeah, I think everything panned out.
I don't know if you read the same thing, but basically it said that these two dudes, William Osborne, William Davies, they came up with the idea. They sold it to Reitman, who then once he had gone and gotten Schwarzenegger and DeVito attached to it, then they brought in a couple of other writers to sort of adjust the humor to be more suiting for Schwarzenegger and DeVito and their size differential, and add some more pratfalls and physical stuff.
It's sort of like when you've written a script, but only D'Souza can fix it because Arnold's in the movie.
Yeah. Apparently, also, like, they had to do some kind of sort of special deal because there was like a writer's strike looming, and they signed some special like exception to allow the guys to work even if a strike began or whatever. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Starring Schwarzenegger.
We love him. We love him.
He had like burst onto the scene with like the Conan flicks and Terminator, and then had gone on and done like Commando, Raw Deal, Predator, Running Man. But this was definitely like his foray into comedy. He was like really expanding his horizons of what he could do. He said that doing this movie was the best decision that he ever made in his career.
That's sweet. Why? Because you feel like it made him more versatile?
I think so. You know,
without this movie, you don't get Jingle All the Way, is all I'm saying.
That's one we have to like keep locked and loaded.
And actually, without this one, I doubt that you get something like True Lies, where someone like James Cameron would be like, "I've seen Arnold be able to be funny, and he can do that."
Kindergarten Cop,
yeah,
he's
absolutely
like hysterical in.
Yeah.
Then Danny DeVito, you know, was obviously had the comedy chops. He was working a lot.
Yeah.
He was fresh off Throw Mama from the Train.
That's such a dark movie.
It is so dark. It's so good, though.
It's excellent.
And he had a little bit of action adventure experience. He had done the Romancing the Stone and Jewel of the Nile movies.
Those movies, they fuck hard.
I love those.
They're
movies.
Amazing.
The first one especially is like
Romancing the Stone
flawless.
is astounding. Yeah, it's a perfect action adventure movie.
He had said something like he signed on to do this movie just strictly based on someone telling him he'd get to play Arnold Schwarzenegger's twin brother. And he was like, I'm in. It's kind of like there's that story about Snakes on a Plane, and that Sam Jackson just signed on based strictly on the title. He's like, I'm in.
He's like, I don't need to see anything else.
I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger's twin. I'm in.
I love it. Perfect.
Also, there's some ladies in the movie. Kelly Preston.
Hideous. She's so gross. Oh, the late Kelly Preston too.
Oh,
we have
rest
to say,
in peace. Yeah, that's a shame. Gone too soon.
Yeah, much too soon. But yeah, she was she was attractive in this film.
She's easy on the eyes. She had done a whole bunch of movies before this, like just little small stuff. But Christine, she was in, and Space Camp.
I don't know that I saw Space Camp.
That was the one that you probably needed to like grow up on. I think I had a friend that had that one on VHS, and it would be just like, let's watch Space Camp. It's kind of like teens at a space camp accidentally get launched into space and have to save the day.
Maybe I did see that. That sounds like a familiar premise for a movie.
I like even the concept that they're putting these kids in like a live shuttle.
That's
like,
badass.
That could accidentally launch.
I would go to space.
And also starring Chloe Webb.
Yep.
Who played Nancy in the Sid and Nancy movie.
Which I need to watch that then.
I feel like that Sid was
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen it one time. And then she also... Do you remember the crazy woman at the beginning of Ghostbusters 2 on Bill Murray's talk show? Like talking about having sex with the alien in the Holiday Inn? That was her.
Okay, yeah.
Reitman hooking her up with another little
That's
role.
Awesome. I did not realize that, yeah.
Yeah, I was totally like, oh, I guess that is her. Yeah, it's just like...
That's amazing.
But she'll just always be Linda to me.
Linda. The music is by Georges Delerue.
The Frenchman
Sounds
or
French,
Canadian or something.
Who I only know from Platoon.
He had won an Oscar, I saw, too, for original score for a movie called A Little Romance, which I've never heard of
Oh, my
before.
God. I always feel bad when I've not seen like an Oscar-winning film.
It looked like that was the only award it was nominated for, I think. It's from 1979.
It's got great music. And then Randy Edelman, who we know and love from Last of the Mohicans.
I saw he was listed as a ton of movies as a conductor.
Yeah.
He also wrote the theme for MacGyver.
I could not hum it for you if you
Me neither. I had to YouTube it, but I'm just like, that's probably made him more money than anything else that he's done.
If you held a gun made of a rubber band, a paper clip, and some chewing gum to my head, I could not hum it for you.
So this movie came out at the end of 88.
We were but babies.
December 9th, 1988. Yeah, it was filmed in that summer. They wrapped in August and had it out by December. That is quick turnaround.
You know, this being a Christmas time movie, I wonder if we saw this one in the theater. I have no recollection of seeing it in the theater, but it could have damn well happened.
I definitely wasn't going to see like anything approaching an adult type movie at this point in my life. My family was like, it was strictly Land Before Time or Five Goes West, that type of stuff.
Gina would take us to see the classics.
That's awesome, dude. I'm jealous of you. I would love to have seen this on the big screen. Full Dolby.
Yeah, absolutely. In the Jasper, Georgia movie theater.
But yeah, this movie was done like really quick turnaround. The movie was rushed along because, as I mentioned, there was like a writer's strike looming. So apparently the deal that Schwarzenegger, DeVito, and Reitman had cut was like they just wrote it on a napkin in a restaurant. They like wrote up a proposal and one of their agents ran it over to Universal. But I think the idea was like they all agreed to like forego their salary to keep the budget down, and they would then propose to take a cut of the profits.
It's like making cap space for your pro football team.
Well, basically, like, yeah, they were like, we could make this movie for 15 to 18 million, or it will cost twice that much, if we all get paid.
If we all take a salary.
I think the idea was that they wanted to get Universal to green light it quickly.
Yeah.
So they basically said, they'd work for free in exchange for 40% of the profits.
Do you think that even at this juncture in Arnold's career, as popular as he was, as meteoric his rise, that the studio saw this and was still like, I don't know, Arnold doing comedy?
I think that was the idea, is that they didn't think that the Universal would be willing to pay him, whatever he was commanding, 10 million or 15 million or something along those lines to do a comedy. He's untested. But if he's working for free and only making money if the movie makes money, then it's kind of a no-lose for Universal.
Say what you want about Arnold's acting chops, if you're going to say it negatively. Arnold could say the lines that you gave him and do something with them.
He put his heart and soul into it.
Yeah, he really did.
I feel like this was that time in his career where he was starting to sort of take control of his own career.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned on our series on Total Recall, like that was a movie he picked out for himself and helped sort of develop and got the directors and everything attached. I feel like this was another thing where he's like, I'll work for nothing because I know I can do this and I know that, that audiences will dig it, and I'm going to bet on myself. Like, I'll make money if the movie makes money, and he made a lot of it.
Yeah.
Basically, it sounded like the way that they divvied it up was that Reitman, DeVito, and Schwarzenegger were going to split up 40% of whatever profits the movie made. So it was 20% to Schwarzenegger and 10% to the other two.
I love it. Yeah, DeVito's like, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't need a lot.
I think they all agreed. They all felt like it was a winner.
Yeah.
And they were all willing to bet on that. And then Universal was willing to jump on it quick because it was sort of there was almost no risk involved for them. They'd make money if the movie made money. And if it tanked, then they wouldn't have to pay those big stars their
And as charismatic a performer as DeVito is, just in general, I can't imagine that any of them were trepidatious about it. I bet everyone was just like, yeah, we totally got this.
And now in the end, the movie did make over $200 million globally.
Chump change.
Yeah, so I think what I had seen was, what they said was Arnold's cut was like $35 million and the other two got $17.5 million each.
What would you even do with that?
I think that announced really low though.
Yeah.
Because he said that they got 40% of the box office plus video sales, merchandising, TV rights, forever.
Yeah.
I just feel like those numbers, the 35 and 17.5, might have just been the box office.
That would make sense to me. Yeah. Because
the math is about right.
It didn't do well critically, but as far as just people going to see it at Christmas time in '88, they were lining up for it.
I sort of feel like the critics were wrong.
I agree.
This is it's not an art film, but it's a lot of fun. Like, how many comedies are viewed as fine art?
I mean,
few, right?
Yeah, Wes Anderson stuff comes to mind,
or
but I mean,
Dr. Strangelove or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but it's this is not. We're not here to make fucking Citizen Kane.
We are definitely not here for that.
On that same podcast, Arnold said this was the most money he's ever made off any movie that he's ever done. Was on Twins because that deal he made.
That's awesome.
Betting on himself. I love that.
I do too. I want to start living my life using Arnold, just his self-motivation as a motivator.
It's amazing, just the belief in oneself and the the willingness to put in the work.
He's like, I know I can do this.
I know I can do this, and I'm going to work my ass off to do the best I can at it. I love that.
Well, I guess we should work our asses off to get through the plot of episode 1 without any further ado.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Here we go.
Hold on. What are you sipping over there?
Oh, I'm drinking some fine Irish whiskey that I actually had just the regular. This is an Irish whiskey called Writer's Tears. Enjoy
I love the title
for obvious reasons. Find your inspiration in here. But they have just a regular strength, if you will, Irish whiskey, and this is a doubled oak offering that I found in the Toco Giant just down the street. Nice. Here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Shout out Toco Giant.
That's right.
They've got an epic selection.
They do.
Well, but just before I sat down, I threw back a couple of shots of this rum that I've got from St. Martin.
You feeling the island breeze?
Yeah, man, that was sweet like candy.
I hope you're feeling. Imagine yourself on a desert island, a tropical island,
paradise, 300 miles southwest of Fiji.
That's sort of where the action picks up at the very beginning.
Indeed.
So the film begins with voiceover narration by one Werner, who's a scientist who's explaining the details through which Julius and Vincent Benedict, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito, were born. We get a shot of two big steel doors with genetic research department written on them.
Totally.
And a chromosome. So
chromosome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So Werner says in the VO that he told Julius about his origins on his 35th birthday. So we get a little background here.
I feel like neither Schwarzenegger nor DeVito were particularly close to the age of 35 when this movie was made.
No.
Schwarzenegger was 41 and DeVito was 43. Like, I just wondered why they didn't say on their 40th birthday.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I don't know.
So Werner says that in the 1950s, 1953 to be exact, that Julius was born as the result of a top-secret genetic experiment, which was financed by the U.S. government, and was intended to create a, quote, physically, mentally, and spiritually advanced human. Mm-hmm. Kevin, this is some Captain America bullshit.
That is like... We're looking at this like sort of primitive looking laboratory setup. There's a young Werner in there holding like
a flask.
What could only be a beaker full of jizz.
A flask of jism.
of white genetic material.
Yeah, I'm convinced. I think we're both convinced that Werner's probably an ex-Nazi.
It sounded very Nazi-ish.
And this is some imported Third Reich, let's make a superhuman sort of experimentation going
right
on.
It's like, there were 6 fathers chosen for their genetic excellence.
Okay.
Excuse me?
Eugenics, the movie. So yeah, 6 fathers were used. Only one of the guys looks to be, because we know Julius is Schwarzenegger, only one of the guys looks to be any kind of a physical specimen, and they're all old balls. Like, even at this time.
I felt like they must have all been like former Olympians and what they say, Nobel Prize winners
great
and things
scientists
like this.
And philosophers and stuff. Yeah, that was just like brilliant minds in lots of different fields.
Yeah.
And then we're introduced through the VO to Mary Ann Benedict, who was chosen to be the mother, played by Heather Graham.
Yeah, uncredited early Heather Graham appearance. The way Werner's like describing it makes it sound like she's almost just a vessel.
Well, he calls her a remarkable woman, and I wonder what her deal was and how she was selected.
Do we think it's her egg? It's not like a embryo that's put into her?
I think that, maybe she was selected because she was also a great...
They give us nothing about that. Now, we know
she was a remarkable
from the film
woman. Why?
that she's a great artist.
Yeah.
But they ought to have mentioned that instead of just making it sound like she was almost inconsequential. Like, the dudes are all these prestigious award winners and stuff like that, and she's a remarkable woman too.
It doesn't fly, but we then find out that it doesn't matter because she died during the delivery, or so Julius was told. Sad times.
Yeah.
And it's only at this moment that Werner is telling. I love that he says, "I'm telling him now at this moment that Julius had a brother, a twin brother, because there was a second child born."
There's no way they didn't see that coming, right? The scientists?
I don't know.
They hadn't done the research about when they started having sonograms and all that.
You would think, though, that the most brilliant medical minds in the field would have someone in there that could feel a woman's tummy and be like, wait, we got something going on.
Well, you would hear like 2 heartbeats and stuff,
exactly.
right? That's usually how it goes. Like,
I don't buy that it was a surprise.
I can't see it coming as a shock.
Unless Vincent was like such shit, like such genetic shit.
Well,
that
he was like
like,
leached on to
yeah, exactly. He was like hiding out in there. So yeah, then we see two baby boys with exceptionally different characteristics.
The way that they did this with the credits was brilliant to me. Like bringing in the two babies and then having the names of the actors, Schwarzenegger and DeVito, pop up on top of the babies.
I found myself trying to remember if that's the way that they did the credits in like Look Who's Talking with Bruce Willis, but I don't think it is.
That one started off weird with like its sperm swimming through fallopian tubes or whatever up in a uterus.
Yeah.
Popping in an egg, and they were like racing each other. Yeah. Weird.
Baby Julius.
He's like a 6 months old.
He was like not a newborn. He's like big and ruddy complected and smiling, and the other baby's like small and mewling, and he's got like dark hair, like thick dark hair.
Yeah.
They're sharing a crib. Baby Vincent seems to like get enjoyment out of kicking baby Julius. So he's a dick from day one. So the infants are for some reason separated at birth. Werner says he brought Julius to this tropical paradise while Vincent, for some reason, was sent off to an orphanage in Los Angeles.
How the hell would that happen?
That is some bullshit.
That's monstrous.
There's never any indication that that was some part of the experiment. I feel like it would have been more interesting if they'd been keeping up with Vincent all that time, like a prolonged... Like, their intent had been to create Superman.
Yeah.
But then they had this other thing. They're like, well, we're scientists.
Like
why don't we use
Truman
this?
Show scenario
Yeah.
or some shit.
Like, or do you remember did you ever watch any of the Up series on the BBC, like 7 Up and 14 Up?
I know of it, but I haven't watched them.
Man, you should go check that out. That is really interesting, people study, anthropological study, nature versus nurture.
I mean, there's no way to test an IQ or anything like that. Like to just decide this is the big one, so this is the one that must be good, and we're going to treat the other one like literal trash.
Yeah,
that's
a great point.
Why would they not want to study both of them?
Like send them both to the island?
I can't imagine any scenario in which they're like, yeah, take that one to the orphanage, but we will give him his birth mother's last name.
Or why not just kill it? It's dark, but but these guys are Nazis anyway.
It is totally. I'm just like, it is bizarre.
It's monstrous for them to just take it to an orphanage and drop it off and say adieu.
Yeah.
So anyway, Julius, Werner tells us, has spent his entire life on the island being educated and working for him. That would be a dream, right? It's a beautiful island.
It is. Like, I looked up the location where they filmed was somewhere a little bit south of Los Angeles, an old closed like aquatic park.
That's cool. It looks like Werner's running a damn biodome out there.
There's a resort on that property now, but I will say, like they were up on a cliff, and the beach down below is where Martin Riggs' trailer was in the Lethal Weapon.
Oh, that's
movies,
awesome.
Where they filmed.
That's badass.
Amazing.
I would love to live there until California falls into the ocean or climate change.
That sea levels, is going to jack you up.
Yeah. So upon learning of Vincent's existence, which is a hard clause to say, and despite his ignorance of the outside world, Julius decides to leave the island to look for Vincent because why wouldn't you? Werner fears that Julius isn't equipped to make it in the real world because he doesn't have a whole lot of real world experience, and he's like learned everything he's ever learned from books, and he has a lot of fucking books and free weights.
I looked at his like living space. Well, first of all, it's in a lot more disarray than you would expect. For a dude who's supposed to be perfect,
well,
it was like cluttered.
Tidy wasn't one of the attributes that they.
But it was a lot of weights, a lot of books about health and fitness. There was like microscopes and primitive electronics in there.
Yeah, Julius sort of sounds. I wish I spoke
12 languages.
3 languages. Julius speaks 12 and excels in history, science, mathematics, literature. He's pure of body and spirit. And he also seems to know karate or some shit.
He's got a sensei.
That's a funny bit though, where he catches it breaks up the sort of the calm progression of the video, and then all of a sudden
he's got skills for violence, which I guess you need to lay in.
Yeah, totally. Well, if you're Superman, if you're breeding Captain America.
According to the internet, that dude who's teaching him karate on the island is that actor from Mortal Kombat.
Which actor?
Shang
Tsung?
Yeah.
That's Tagawa, Hiroyuki Tagawa.
I need to go back and look at that again because I don't see it. They put a bunch of old age makeup and a gray wig on him. If it's
I would have never. I mean, I kind of thought that he looked familiar, but yeah, they've got a gray wig or they grayed his hair and stuff.
Wasn't he on the credits or uncredited as like Oriental Man?
Oh God, I hope not. But that wouldn't surprise me. It was the 80s though, I guess. So
yeah. Anyway,
that's really cool.
I guess.
I like that. Well,
it's good for him, I suppose.
Yeah. Anyway, Julius is like not listening to Werner, urging him not to go look for Vincent. He's probably just like me.
I love that.
He's
probably just like me.
He's so excited. Arnold does a great job of playing the innocent in this movie. So Julius decides to embark on his quest, rowing off into the open ocean on a raft. There's clearly a motor on that thing.
Where was the John Matrix Speedo?
I was kind of wishing that like this is the first of many times that I wish that Julius and John Matrix had interacted with one another, like here, like rowing past each other, and then like later at the airport that Matrix is going into the airport with the goons to go to Valverde.
Amazing shared universe.
As Julius is exiting.
I never noticed. So like, yeah, he's putting the raft in the water as like his martial arts instructor is helping him.
Right.
And I never noticed before there's like a large woman there
who's
wearing
the
a
muumuu? Who? Someone's lines got cut. Is she the cook?
Do you think that's the extent of the people that are living on the island is those four?
I feel like
he seems like he's never encountered.
He's got to have a small staff, like farm workers and stuff like that are helping. I imagine that there's not more than a few dozen people on that island.
I looked up muumuu, and it is like a Polynesian like garment.
That makes sense.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So apparently Julius is going to row for 27 miles to the closest island with an airport, and we'll go ahead and call this Arnold's first feat of strength in the movie.
Oh shit! I love it.
So if you're drinking at home, take a little sip.
Indeed.
Feat of strength. And Werner tells us that Julius is making haste because he's convinced that his brother Vincent is in trouble and he's desperately in need of his help.
That's our first little inkling that there's some sort of like a telepathic, psychic connection between the two. As you said, that raft was like either being towed or it had a damn outboard on it.
It looked like an outboard.
It was flying.
I love it though. That's so funny. It's so funny.
Oh, it's amazing because it's shows you how fucking yoked and strong
he's supposed to be like Superman. So meanwhile, in LA, we get our first glimpse of Vincent Benedict in the middle of a sex act, mid-afternoon,
mid-thrust
with some woman. And then we hear somebody off camera say, "Honey, I'm home."
That's an amazing character introduction.
Yeah.
He's like, the woman's like, "Oh no," and then she jumps off him, and he's like, "Oh no,
oh no." Well, I just like that it sets up the Danny DeVito as this Lothario,
he's
as
like
this
lech.
Yeah, he's a ladies' man.
Amazing.
So so there's some cool stunt work of like the body double like shimmying out of that house. It looks really good.
Can we talk about the fact that he's somehow fully like dressed, socks and shoes on, shirts tucked in? Like he did not scramble out as quickly as possible, or he's got the superhuman dressing abilities.
He's been doing this since he was 12. Julius has superhuman abilities. Vincent has other superhuman abilities. So I love that he's walking down the sidewalk with his little electric razor.
Oh, weird.
I like that he carries it with him for such occasions.
That's a thing that he does on multiple occasions in the film.
He knows that he looks good without any stubble. Anyway, he's like checking out a jogger as he walks by, and
I love that. He's like, "Hello, hello! Oh my goodness, hello!"
We see him walk up to his '80s model Mustang convertible, which we're not huge fans of. If you've listened to the podcast, that was a dark time for the Mustang.
It had a beast of a engine on it.
Yeah, it did. And then he's parked illegally for the first of many times, just takes the ticket off the windshield. Goodbye. Tosses it. We see him in the next shot. We see two ladies who we mentioned earlier, played by Chloe and Kelly Preston, playing Linda and Marnie.
Sisters.
Yeah.
Chloe Webb, yeah.
Yeah. And Vincent parks and approaches the two women. They're reading their horoscopes while walking down the sidewalk.
I thought Vincent did a really shitty job of parking.
Yeah.
But then I was also like, but that kind of like is true to his character.
Thing. Yeah, that's totally his thing.
I feel like he was parked in two spots.
Yeah, so Linda turns around. She is thrilled to see Vincent, and we immediately get that Marnie is not. Marnie's like, "I thought you guys broke up," and she's like, "We did," but she's like kissing all on him anyway.
This is the first of many times that we'll have to ask ourselves, like, what does she see in him?
Well, she answers it later on, but we'll get to that later. So Vincent, he sort of like tells the audience that Linda and Marnie are sisters and asks for a word with Linda. As they're entering the restaurant where the sisters work, Marnie like sort of shouts over, "Don't give him any money."
Cut to.
And hard cut to Vincent asking Linda for money. She resists, but he gives her the puppy dog eyes and does this weird like grunting, like.
That was, what is that? Somehow DeVito like sells it. For me. I think he believes it. Whatever it is he's doing, he believes it.
That's right. Yeah, he starts quoting the lyrics to "I only have eyes for you, Linda."
Maybe millions of people go by, but they all disappear from view. I love it. It's a great song, by the way.
It is fantastic, and billions of different versions of it. So all this seems to weaken Linda's resolve. They kiss.
Linda doesn't strike me as a person who's got a lot of money to dole out.
No, well, maybe she saves. I feel like she and Marnie are
they
savers.
Roommates?
Yeah, they definitely live together. I get the feeling that they do. It's at that moment that a burly man enters the restaurant. Vincent recognizes him he calls him the baby Klain. And this is Maury Chaykin, who you may remember from Dances with Wolves as Major Fambreau.
Shit. Wait.
I've just pissed in my pants. And nobody can do anything about it.
Oh, like the crazy guy in charge of the fort?
He like shoots himself right as
that is the same guy.
Yeah, right as Dumb Bear rides out into the wilderness.
He's been in a variety of different movies.
He's always really good, too. He's good at the little character roles.
Yeah.
This role's different from Fambreau. So Vincent immediately hits the deck, trying to hide. The man approaches Linda. "Where's the little shit?" You'll have to be more specific. We have a very specific clientele.
That's a pretty good joke.
Oh, it's really good.
Is she like the joke? All the people who come in here are shit.
Everyone's a dirtbag here. He's obviously looking for Vincent. Linda and Marnie cover for Vincent as he like crawls out of the back of the restaurant.
Linda like calls to Marnie like, he wouldn't come in here, isn't that right, Marnie? And gets the Klain to turn around and like DeVito's in full view. Right, he's just under a table that's like a little pedestal table.
But he is very small, and maybe Bert Klain is so tall. Chaykin's character.
I mean, now I will say, if I turned around and Kelly Preston was standing there, I might not see anything else.
You would not notice Danny DeVito crawling
off. What did she push off the table onto him?
So once upon a time, when I worked in a restaurant, the crap that she sweeps off on him sort of looks like the remnant of like a big family coming into a restaurant for Mother's Day, and like a child has like destroyed bread and just like broken the bread up on the table, and is nothing but crumbs and macaroni shit, and it just looks like she just that's what it looks like.
It looked like either crumbled up cake or fucking like feta cheese or something.
Yeah,
it was gross.
Either way, I would open my mouth.
Catch a little,
get a snack for the road. So then we cut to a jet in midair, and Julius has somehow rode and made it to an airplane where he is loudly singing along to Yakety Yak. That's some interesting in-flight music.
Yeah, he's got the big like sort of
the papers and the trash
headphones that I guess they used to have on planes.
Yeah. We see fellow passengers who are equally amused and annoyed by this large man singing Yakety Yak.
Arnold is funny. Like the way he cracked his voice.
You kick the war.
What would you... I like that Arnold doesn't mind letting himself like be the butt of the joke.
No.
I feel like Stallone... Never.
Oh, God, no.
He would never allow himself to be the one to be laughed at.
Stallone sucks.
What would your reaction be if you were on that flight and there was just a guy singing top of his lungs?
I would probably summon a flight attendant and ask them to take care of it.
Okay. So maybe that's what happened on this flight.
Yeah.
Because the flight attendant does arrive.
I feel like she was either that or she was making her rounds. And she very flirty and nicely asks him to tone it down. And he's like, I've never heard this kind of music before.
He's like lost in her cleavage. He was like staring down her top.
And then as
she had it going on, by the way.
Yes,
we must say it, to be fair to Julius.
Yes. For a man, it didn't matter that he hadn't seen a lot of women before. She was a very attractive woman.
Oh, yeah.
So, Julius enjoys the view as she walks away. She was fit. And meanwhile...
That's like the Two Live Crew remix of the song kicks in.
Yeah, take out the papers.
And it's got that record scratching.
Take out the papers. So, at LAX, Julius looks around in wonderment as he's leaving the airport.
That is the Tom Bradley International Terminal that you mentioned.
Right.
earlier, where John Matrix was dropped off by Bennett, and Sully and Enriquez took him to take his flight down to Valverde.
John, I'll be waiting, John.
It would be amazing if the sound design had just had that playing.
That would have been fucking amazing. That was a missed opportunity. Then we get a killer montage of Julius exploring Hollywood. I really, really like this because I've never been out of LAX and Hollywood.
Okay.
I would really like to go just like see LA
the Walk
once.
of Fame and all that. Yeah, it's kind of cool to see.
So we see him seeing the sights, the Walk of Fame. He sees Lassie's star. He's sampling all different kinds of street food. And I bet LA street food is dope, even in the 80s.
They always talk about like, the best way to learn about a place is, sample like what the people are eating there. So I think that's a little bit of what was happening.
It looks like he's eating like street dogs, ice cream, shawarma, like some other kind of like pizza.
Dude, your stomach would be a wreck. I imagine he's been eating nothing but organic his whole life.
Yeah, but if you are Superman, are you genetically predispositioned to like be able to do stuff like that in case you find yourself over enemy lines?
Amazing. On my like 300th viewing or whatever my last viewing was, I noticed as he's walking and eating the ice cream, he is distracted by like there's a pimp roughing up a prostitute. Like in the background.
I've never noticed that ever.
I didn't notice it. It's like this dude sort of strong-arming a woman in the background, and I was just like, wow.
I wonder if in a different version he intervened.
Maybe. There's also the nice moment with the homeless guy.
Yeah, I feel like that's something Arnold would probably actually do.
Yeah. Just like, you need this food. I don't think the dude was seeking food necessarily.
This delicious street dog more than I do. I also love the shout-out to the LA phenomenon of the LA lowriders. As they come bouncing around the corner. Yes. That's dope.
The culture, like there's that he's at the wig shop. There's just a bunch of weird stuff happening.
And then we get him out front of Grauman's Chinese Theater where Willow is playing, which I love. One of my faves.
Was that a theatrical viewing for you?
No, it was not. But we definitely had that one on VHS, like store-bought VHS.
Okay.
I loved that movie.
That was not one that was in heavy rotation for me.
You know what? Maybe we did. That one may be one that we also saw in the theater. I don't know. I can't remember, but I remember wearing that VHS tape out.
I rewatched recently, like for the first time in decades. And it didn't. I was like, ooh, did I like this? Or because I was.
Oh, that's surprising to me.
I did not like. I did not like
Mav Mardigan, Val Kilmer's character. Warwick Davis.
I did not like Warwick Davis's performance. Matt Mardigan. Well, like, it was just a whole lot of screaming. Everything was screaming. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get that. I totally get that. We'll agree to disagree that it's the greatest movie of all time.
Fair.
There's a great meta moment. Oh, well, we should mention that out in front of the theater, we get a moment where Julius is sort of standing there looking at it, and Vincent walks up, like, right next to him. They don't know each other, and they would scratch their butts in unison, which is amazing, before, like, parting ways.
I bet that was, like, a treat for bystanders, like, on the day they were filming. They don't... Like, totally. I bet there were people just off like, oh my gosh, it's DeVito and Schwarzenegger. That's so cool.
That would be amazing. Then we get this amazing meta moment with Julius walking by a Rambo 3 poster. So there's Stallone and all of his like shredded glory on the poster, looking sullen and dour. And yes, like Schwarzenegger, Julius sort of looks up at it, like holds up his muscle,
his own arm, because it's like feels his bicep
because it says big around as Stallone's whole body.
Bigger. Yeah, and then he's like,
bigger.
Then he just sort of, he just sort of chuckles and like phooey, like phooey, like at this guy. I feel like, again, like
even that poster irked me.
I love Schwarzenegger. Like that moment tells me Schwarzenegger felt no sort of inferiority or like threatened by Stallone in any way,
and probably had heard rumors that the opposite was true, that Stallone was like very threatened by Schwarzenegger.
I don't know if they were friends at that point.
Right.
But they of course became friends later.
So elsewhere, Vincent pulls up to a parking deck at the airport where he meets his friend Al, who is David Caruso, during a very interesting time in his career.
He gives a nice little performance though.
Yeah.
As Al Greco.
Yeah.
You think that tattoo on his arm was real?
It looked real enough.
It did. I mean, it fits for his character too, being a little bit shady or whatever.
I wish that I could have seen like what it all looked like, but I also feel that this was a time where like fake tattoos weren't a real common
I don't know why
thing
you'd
in
spend
movies.
the money to put a fake tattoo on this guy's arm for the one scene. Or whatever.
I don't feel like that's something that studios were doing a whole lot of at the time. Vincent tells Al that he owns the claims $20,000. Al can't believe. So we know that he's in trouble because Al can't believe that he borrowed money from those guys.
Yes.
And sort of like heated about it, like genuine. You can hear concern in his voice. Vincent says he's desperate, so Al directs him to a car that he can steal from the deck. There's a BMW Install 20, and everyone needs a friend like Al. I wonder what Al's take is in that situation, or is he getting?
I think $500 a car was my thought.
That'd be so awesome. Anyway,
until you get fired or arrested.
Yeah, until you're arrested. Vincent deftly steals the car. This is obviously not a new thing for him, and is not subtle about driving it out of there.
He is burning rubber the entire way out of the parking deck.
It's like
he cut like a crazy 180 spin.
It was Vincent's also a really good driver, I gather. So right after that, we see him unloading the car at a chop shop where he gets shortchanged on his payment. A car like this, you should get $6,000. He only gets $4,000.
I love the dude. He's like, it's a recession. Everything's tough. He's like, if you want to try someone else, it's no hard feelings.
He's very magnanimous, but he said, you seem tense.
Tony,
you have trouble with your bowels? Yeah.
He's chugging that Pepto-Bismol.
God love Tony's got an ulcer. Reaganomics was hard on everyone. Meanwhile, Julius is checking out Playmate's lingerie shop when a stranger approaches him.
That dude was big.
Yeah, he was very tall.
He was like as tall as Arnold, at least.
He was also, I love that Julius is also like checking out women as they walk by. And so it's been an interesting day, eye-opening day for Julius, to be sure.
His horizons are being broadened.
That's right. Sure. Yeah, he's amazed in looking at the shop that women would wear that kind of lingerie. But the guy is trying to distract him because there's another guy pulling up on a motorcycle. And as he's driving by, he tries to grab Julius's suitcase. Julius manages to hold on, yanking the guy off the bike. And this is our second feat of strength. Your or my arm would have been ripped clean out of the socket.
Sure.
Yeah,
yes.
We would have no arm or it'd be dislocated.
I feel like maybe the motorcycle driver's arm was ripped out of the socket.
Yeah, definitely. Because, the guy seems injured. Julius leans over and immediately can tell that the guy's got a concussion, maybe some broken ribs or something.
It was interesting because he's like, I wondered what that. He's like, like it was something, but he felt around his shoulder. It could have been like a cracked shoulder blade or
he's like,
collarbone.
He's like, we got to get him to the clinic. We have to get him to the hospital.
It's like, I'll carry him to a hospital.
And they're like, no, you just leave us alone. And Julius is like very apologetic. The next time you should really consider wearing helmets.
I love the way Arnold played that scene. He's just like, oh, so sorry. I feel terrible. about this. I loved all of that. I like how outgoing and magnanimous he's just an innocent, naive farm boy basically.
He's
in a big
awesome.
City.
Yep. Meanwhile, Vincent is leaving a store, presumably close by, is the vibe that I got, and he's complaining as he's exiting after he apparently failed to sell some socks.
I love that. If you don't want to buy them, don't buy them. But don't say they're cheap. These are quality socks. I love that.
It's so good.
Could any person just walk into a store? I mean, it was a different time and just say, "Hey, I got a box of socks."
I'm sure. Like at a L.A. bodega, at an L.A. bodega, rather. Probably you'd be able to walk in and hawk whatever. Be like, "Hey, I got 15 pairs of socks." And he's like, "Yeah, I'll give you $50 for them." And then sell them at a markup.
Now, where did those socks come from? They fell off a truck?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Or he stole them. He found them in the trunk of a car he stole. So as he's walking back to his car, we see a policeman leaving him a ticket on the windshield. Classic Vincent.
Yes.
And we see he's parked in a handicap spot along the line. Do I look normal to you?
You're parked in a handicap spot, sir. So do I look normal to you? He's like, you don't have the sticker in your windshield. So a sticker? You don't need a sticker? Handicap my ass.
Yeah,
and
so he's
just giving attitude, mad attitude.
He's asking for what happens next when the cop asks
$53.
to see his license. Yeah, man, I wish that I know
that seems really low, right? Yeah, that's back in the day, I guess, pre-inflation.
So cut to Vincent being put in the back of a squad car. He's like, your birthday just passed and your license expired. He's like, happy birthday.
He tells him he's got over 200 unpaid parking tickets.
Can we talk about how much parking tickets suck and that one time my car. I walked out. I had so many outstanding parking
Where?
tickets in Madison, Wisconsin when I was up there doing
on
school.
campus or something?
No, it's just like every street in Madison's like ticketed parking, and it's like they switch from like Monday to Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday are the days that you can and you have to move your car every day.
I haven't gotten parking tickets. I've gotten like moving violations, but not parking.
One time, so like I'd just been planning. I was like, I'm going to be leaving Madison soon, and then no one's ever going to hear from me again. It's not even going to matter that I have all these parking tickets. So I go outside one morning.
There's like a warrant for
I
your
go
arrest.
outside one morning and my car is gone. So I was like, so I call a number. Like, what happens when your car gets towed? Or what? Yeah.
Did you think it was stolen, or you knew?
No, I had a feeling. So I called, and they're like, "Yeah, we got your card." I show up, and no shit, the lady at the desk, she just like sucked air between her teeth. She went, and I was like, "Oh no!" And she's like, "You owe $1,300 of parking tickets." Which I had to pay before they would release my car.
Yeah,
that was a terrible day.
You were like a young Vincent
DeVito.
Benedict.
I was a young Vincent Benedict.
That's
Vincent,
amazing.
I wonder if his nickname was Eggs. Anyway, Julius. We cut to Julius at the orphanage where Vincent was raised. This is St. Charlotte's, played by the Mary Andrews Clark Memorial Home.
Yeah,
That was built in 1913 as a YWCA for all you architecture buffs.
I saw like it had an earthquake damage in '87, so like just before this, and now is reopened as a housing for like low income people.
I like that. I love
amazing.
it.
It's a beautiful building.
It is gorgeous. There's a very similar thing in Houston. It used to be some kind of a hospital.
Okay.
But they've
the
like
city owns it, or the government
1920s or
owns it.
30s, yeah. And they turned it into like a low income housing. It basically become an artist colony. It's beautiful. Anyway,
cool.
So Julius, while he's walking around with the nun, with Mother Superior, played by Frances Bay from Karate Kid.
I fucking love her, dude. She's been in everything.
Yeah, Blue Velvet, Happy Gilmore, and about 10 million episodes of television.
She was in Wild at Heart too. I like that she's worked with Lynch multiple times.
I do too.
But she is a Lynchy person because she feels like just sort of middle America, like
and she's sort of odd looking.
grandma from Kansas or something.
Yeah. As she asks how he knew it was Vincent's bed, he's like, "It's the one I would have chosen because it's next to the fire alarm and the extinguisher, and he would have wanted to save all the orphans."
She's like, there's only been one fire here, and Vincent started it.
That's so fucking awesome.
He wants to know, like, was he very athletic? Was he into
philosophy,
chess, and poetry? That's a hard no.
She's like, no. Yeah, she says that a lot of information from Vince's file is gone. But she shows him what she's got. There's a photo of young Vincent with a nun, Sister Maria, who he apparently fucked.
That's
the biology teacher.
The euphemism was he disgraced her.
That's amazing.
That's horrible.
And says that Vincent stole money from the orphanage and ran away. And Julius is not taking all this news very well. He's like, okay. So, but with no leads to go on, the nun suggests that he check the area jails. That's harsh.
I love the nun. It's like, I pray that you don't find him.
Jesus.
She's like, you're too good. Like, you're full of goodness.
That's right. So we cut to jail, interestingly enough, and we see a forlorn Vincent sitting in a cell. Guard walks up and tells him he's got a visitor. We see Julius waiting, and a huge guy who looks just like him walks past. And you told me that's the guy that was like his longtime stunt double, right?
That is Peter Kent, who turned up as like his sort of body double in Running Man.
Yeah,
when they were having the
chase at the
fake
airport
fight happen or whatever. No, the when they were grafting Arnold's face onto the other guy's
deep
body.
Fake? Okay,
deep fake. But yeah, he was Arnold's stunt double in 14 Arnold movies, from Terminator through. Like, I can't remember the last one, maybe Eraser or one even after that.
Not difficult to see why. Looks just like him. So it's when Julius turns his attention back to the glass, he sees Vincent standing there and is shocked by what he sees.
That double take that Arnold did was solid work.
Yeah. So he motions for Vincent to like just wait a moment and goes to the desk and double checks if he's got the right guy. The guy says, yeah, that's him.
Wouldn't the most likely scenario be that this is just another guy named Vincent Benedict who happens to be in the city?
Could
like
be.
If you're Julius,
yeah,
would you say, I must
Could
have
be.
the wrong Vincent? I don't think they would tell him his like birthday to know that they had the same birthday.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Yeah, probably not.
Can we talk for a second about how Arnold is dressed? What's Julius wearing?
Julius is wearing like baggy navy blue shorts.
Yeah.
Gym socks that are like rolled down, like tube socks, highest tube socks that are rolled down to, I don't know, like 4 inches or 5 above his ankle.
They look like kind of leg warmer, like Flashdance style leg warmers.
He's wearing high top Converses, Chuck Taylors,
Chucks.
and he's wearing like a pink button-down shirt and like a linen
shirt
and like a linen blazer
with like a million buttons. It was like a 5-button blazer or something. It was just was that a cool look, or was he meant to look like a?
I think he's meant
fish
to
out
look
of water
derpy.
kind of derp. Yeah, like a geek.
I think that probably the shorts and a t-shirt and the Converse would not. It look like a kid in gym from the 50s or something, the 60s. But like, I think that everything else was like. Werner was like, these are the nicest clothes we have.
Sure.
Here, wear these clothes to meet your brother.
And I want to live in a place where you don't need long pants.
I want to live in a place where I don't need shorts. And you could have your island, and I'll live in Iceland.
Okay.
So Julius returns to the glass and just starts talking, not understanding how the phone system works. And Vincent's just kind of sitting there like waving his hands and going like blah, 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 blah. Before finally motioning for him to pick up the phone, which Julius does and starts his whole spiel over again. He says that he's come halfway around the world to meet him. Vincent just assumes immediately that he's with the Klein brothers and tells him he's like, I've still got time to pay.
He's got that Klein brother build.
Yeah, and them sending somebody to harass me in jail is not cool. Julius says, I don't know who the Klein brothers are, and that he's like, that you're my brother. And Vincent says, come again?
Like, my name is Julius. I'm your twin brother.
And there's like long pregnant pause, and DeVito's like, well, obviously. The moment I sat down, I thought I was looking in a mirror. That's great delivery from DeVito.
I do, and like Schwarzenegger's holding his own. I love his thing. We're not identical twins.
Yeah, like he's immediately sort of miffed. He's like, hey, all right, I get that it's sort of weird, but it's like we're not identical. Vincent wants him some more.
I wouldn't be too short, pal.
Yeah, Julius must not have appreciated the condescending tone. Then he gets serious and says that he wants to help Vincent out of jail. And Vincent replies that money talks and bullshit walks. To which Julius replies, this one.
He's like, how can bullshit walk? That's slang, huh?
Oh God! Vincent tells him to see that guy over there. Go pay him. Go give him some money, and I'll be anything that you want.
He's like, I give him money. He's like, yeah, you give him money, let me out. I love. Arnold was so good at playing all these moments, like so earnestly and sincerely, honestly, innocence. Like,
yeah, totally.
There's a weird childlike innocence about him.
Very much so.
Love it.
So walking out of jail, Vincent says that he needs more money to get his car out of the impound. Julius is like, I've got more money. Really? And he's like, I'll give it to you because you're my brother and I love you.
I love him Vincent's calling him, hey, Twinny.
Twinny, yeah. Hope he didn't set you back too much. Yeah. So Vincent says to cut out all the love talk or he'll toss his cookies. And we get, that's more slang.
That's more slang.
Out in the impound lot, Julius correctly identifies Vincent's car before it's pointed out to him.
Another little, like, psychic moment.
Yeah. Vincent's curious how Julius knew which car was his. And Julius says, it's because we're twins.
We're twins.
Then he talks about how excited he is to spend time getting to know Vincent. He's like, can't wait to, like, hang out and read and talk.
Like, we're going to go to museums,
chess.
talk philosophy.
Meanwhile, Vincent, like, hops in the car and fucking speeds off.
He does. He just straight ditches him.
But Julius, ever the optimist, he's so full of energy.
That's vicious for Vincent to like just
fucking asshole.
Yeah. Like what was the little document stuck in the windshield?
I feel like
it's not a new ticket, is it?
I feel like it's like the impound slip that they put on your windshield that's got the number of the car on it.
Sure.
I think now they just like basically it's your receipt for getting fucked by the city of it. But I don't even know how this is going to turn out.
That's a strong open. That's
it is
a
really strong
opening act.
Yeah, this movie is great. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't seen it, what the hell's wrong with you?
You got to watch this movie and join us again next week.
We'll be back.